Hello everybody, welcome to another games pickup video. Unfortunately the October one didn't come out because, as some of you may know, I pretty severely broke my wrist in a skating accident in the middle of October. I broke my wrist very severely and obviously it's still not right. So I took on board some of your feedback from the last video, show some gameplay footage, but please bear in mind that what you see is pretty compromised because I still can't play games with any real intensity. It's a bit slow. I have a lot of pain in my hands still, so yeah, bear that in mind. But the point of these games pickups video is to try and keep it short and snappy to the point. So let's just get straight on with it. So I have been able to monetize my YouTube channel now since about March or April of 2021. So around about a year and 3/4, and recently I passed the payment threshold, which was about 8,500 Japanese yen. As most of you hopefully know, when it comes to Patreon, I don't actually use Patreon money for games pickups. I only pay for games out of money that I earn through my day job here in Japan. So this was a nice little bonus to get some YouTube money, so I thought I'll put it towards some games, treat myself. And just before I went into hospital, I picked up an AV Famicom for an absolute song, fully boxed. The only thing it was lacking was the second controller, but that's not a problem. I'll be able to get another one of those. But it was such a fantastic price, so I wanted to pick up some Famicom games. Now, bear in mind, I only really collect for the Super Famicom and the Game Boy. I'm not going to go mad with the Famicom. I will acquire the means to be able to play any game that I want to. So the cartridges that I picked up were basically the games that I really wanted physical copies for. So yeah, this video is all about that. So I went to 3 stores here in the northeast of Japan, 2 in Morioka City and 1 in Kitakami City. In Morioka I went to Yorozuya and at the end of the day a Book Off branch. And in Kitakami, I went to a branch of Mansaido. So all 3 are famous Chuko stores or second-hand stores here in Japan. So let's just get straight on in with it. So the first game that I picked up for 500 yen in Yorozuya is Willow. It's an action RPG. It's got leveling up, so it's more RPG-like than Zelda is, for example. Yeah, really good game by all accounts of what I've heard on the internet. It's actually one of the few games that I've not played but have been really keen to play. So this may well end up being one of the games that I eventually trade in because I like to keep my collection down to the core things that I want to keep for all time. But I've played a little bit of it, a little bit more than what you'll see in the gameplay footage. And yeah, it seems to be pretty good. But yeah, it's going to need my wrist to heal up a bit more to get that quick movement in. But yeah, looks to be a really good action RPG from Capcom. Next game, this is one that I was looking to pick up but had a little bit of difficulty finding in Yorozuya and Mansaido and thought, I'm going to come home without this, aren't I? Well, I found it in Book Off and it's Hoshi no Kirby Yume no Izumi no Monogatari, which basically is Kirby's Adventure in Japanese. This is the first console-based Kirby game, apart from Kirby's Dream Course. I think that came out before this, but I might be wrong. But yeah, basically the first platformer on the console. The only one before this was on the Game Boy, Kirby's Dream Land, or Hoshi no Kirby as it is in Japan. It's just there, in fact. But yeah, this is a fantastic Kirby game. The first one where Kirby can absorb the powers of enemies and so forth. Lots of really cool little mini games in it. I've played the Game Boy Advance remake, but I love the pixel art design in this one. Really iconic and really stoked that I've got this as a physical cartridge. So this is one that I will be keeping. And I paid 528 yen, including tax. Very good bargain. A little bit of fading on the label, but that's pretty good as far as I'm concerned for the price. So the next game is a little bit out of left field. This is Super Star Force from Tecmo. This is a sequel to Star Force, and this is primarily a shoot 'em up. But the cool thing about this game is that you collect points by shooting enemies, and what this allows you to do is to time travel through the various eras. And you've got to collect these time crystals which will open up other areas basically. So yeah, very cool, underrated shoot 'em up stroke action game, really cool game, very underrated I think. Played this for the first time about 20 years ago when I was at university via emulation and thought, what a gem. Not enough about this on the internet, so I might review this when my hand is feeling a bit more healed up and I can show it properly. And on the back, the original owner had left a little cute sticker, so I'll leave it on there. Paid 500 yen for this in Yorazuya, a real bargain I think. Okay, so this was another game that I was looking to pick up that almost went away empty-handed. It's Gradius for the Famicom, obviously, because that's what we're dealing with today. Legendary shooter, much better on the PC engine, but I still feel that this port is pretty iconic in my book. I really enjoyed playing this. Not very good at it at the moment, again for the same reason, because my hand, my wrist is not at its best. But yeah, a very cool shooter. Yeah, and what more can I say about it? It's Gradius. Picked this up in book off for 528 yen, including the tax. A great bargain. Okay, next, it's Tiny Toon Adventures, the original game for the Famicom. So this was picked up in Yorazuya. Really cool little Konami platformer. Very much in the vein of Super Mario Bros. 3. You can easily see the influence of that in this game. But yeah, really nice pixel art, really cool graphics, and as a Tiny Toons fan, I had to pick this up. I've picked up all of the Tiny Toon games for the Game Boy here in Japan, as well as for the Super Famicom. And yeah, as a fan of the animated series, this is a bit of a no-brainer. There's also a second game for the Famicom, but I'm led to believe that this is the better of the two games, so that's what I stuck with. And I paid 600 yen for this, so well worth it, I think. Okay, next. This gets into a bit of a pattern now. Rockman 4, or Mega Man 4, as it's called in the West. I love the Mega Man games. Not as big a fan of some of the Mega Man X series games. I really felt that most of them went off the boil after X3. But the original Rock Band series I still think is pretty solid throughout its whole run. Particularly some of the early releases on the Famicom. But Rockman 4 still remains to be an excellent game, I think. I've never completed it. I've only played a little bit of it, and again, can't play it very well due to my wrist. But yeah, looking forward to getting stuck into this. This was actually the most expensive game that I picked up on this game hunt at 1,639 yen, including tax. Yeah. For some reason, this seems to be a little bit harder to come by. I don't know whether that's just unique to the area of Japan that I live in, or whether it's Japan in general, but yeah. So a little bit more expensive, but cracking game. Looking forward to playing this, and yeah, very good condition. Okay, next, this is a bit of a given. Super Mario Bros. 3. Again, played this for the first time when I was at university about 20 odd years ago. Which is crazy, really, because the game was already about 15 years old by that time. Or coming up to that anyway. And yeah, it's just iconic. I do actually own this on the Super Mario Bros. Collection for the Super Famicom. And in fact, it was one of the first games that I got for the Super Nintendo with Super Mario All-Stars. Which is the same as Super Mario Bros. Collection. It's just the Western name for it. What more can I say about it? Iconic game. Fabulous pixel art. I think it's one of the most beautiful games created for the Famicom stroke NES. Yeah, just really stoked to have this. And I paid 429 yen, including tax. So, a really good deal, I think. Yeah, one of the best Super Mario Bros. Games, if you ask me. Okay, we're getting down to the last three games. And the next one is another Rockman game, another Mega Man game. This is Rockman 5. Not always held in as high regard by some when it comes to how it is as a game compared to the other Rockman or Mega Man games. I still think it's pretty good. I think some of the boss weapons in this are a little bit weak, if you ask me, but I still think that it's a cool playthrough. It's still a ton better than a lot of games of its ilk, of its era. So yeah, a good game overall. I think actually overall people's opinion of this game has gone up a little bit over the years since it was released. But yeah, I still think that this is a great little action platformer, and I paid 1,000 yen for this one. So a little bit more than the others, but still a great game. Okay, next. This one plays in a little bit to me having a bit of an injury. I wanted to find a puzzle game. I didn't want it to be too high intensity because I wanted something that I'm going to be able to enjoy without being able to sort of, you know, have the fast reflexes that you often need for pretty much all of the games that I've shown you so far. So this is Wario no Mori, or Wario's Woods as it is in the West. One of the last games released for the Famicom, and indeed I believe it may have been the last game released for the NES in the West, but I might be wrong about this. This is a bit like a block falling game, but the difference with this one is that it literally turns it on its head. You don't have control over the way the blocks fall or the little monsters and bombs, but rather you control Toad at the bottom of the play area, and he basically stacks the monsters and the bombs up, and once you make matching patterns, so like 3 in a row or 3 in a line or 3 in a diagonal, depending on the enemy type or the monster type, it will get rid of them, and once you clear the area of all the monsters, you clear the stage. So various different play methods. I just wanted a puzzle game that I didn't have already. So whilst Tetris and Dr. Mario are excellent on the Famicom or on the NES, I already have those for the Game Boy, so I wanted something a little bit different. And I think that this is a little gem. I've enjoyed what I've played so far, and I paid, I think, 600 yen for this. Not a lot of money, and the cartridge is in great condition, and I love this colour. So fantastic little cartridge, I think. So yeah, should be able to enjoy that one straight away, I think. Okay, last. So this was one of the games that I was looking for on this trip, and I saw it in all of the stores that I went into. But looking at the condition of the cartridges that were available versus the price, I felt I'm going to hold on. I'll be able to find that in better condition, maybe not perfect, but better condition on Yahoo auctions or at some point during my time here in Japan. Anyway, in Book Off, I found it, and the condition was acceptable for the price, and that game is Rockman 2, Mega Man 2. Held up to be pretty much the best of the original Rockman games by many, especially when it comes to the Famicom or NES. I'm inclined to agree with that. In some respects, I prefer Mega Man or Rockman 3 because it introduces Rush. The Mega Buster gets the charge shot, and also you can basically skid in that game. But in this game, it's basically the stages are iconic, the bosses are iconic, the weapons are certainly iconic, especially that metal cutter. Yeah, I think on balance, this along with Rockman 7, which might surprise some people, are up there with my favourites in the original Rockman series. So yeah, I was delighted to get this because for me this is a game that I could just complete and then start all over again and without a problem. I just love this game. Yeah, it's just overall just a beautifully designed Rockman game. Sadly, I can't play it very well owing to my wrist at the moment. I just don't really have those reflexes, but I did enjoy a bit of Airman stage, as you can see in the footage. So, and I paid 900 yen for this, so pretty awesome deal. Well, I don't think that was as short and snappy as the last video I did, but I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope as my wrist begins to heal, hopefully it won't require further surgery. I'll be able to get stuck into playing these, hopefully around about Christmas, New Year's time, because I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands and I need something to do, and I feel that these games are going to fit the bill perfectly for that. So, yeah, I just want to thank everybody who has viewed the channel, well, since whenever you started watching it, but obviously in the last year and a half I've made that payment threshold and I was able to pick up all these games, and the total I paid was about 7,400 yen, which I will put the conversions up on the screen, which is nothing for the calibre of games that I've picked up. So there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games that I still want to pick up in cartridge form for the Famicom. I will reveal those at some point. I might as well tell you what they are now. I want to pick up a box copy of the original Super Mario Brothers. I do already have it on that Super Mario collection. I could have easier picked it up cartridge only, or indeed boxed on this trip, but boxed it was about 3,500 yen, which was pretty good actually for the condition I felt. But I can hold off, I think, for that for now. I've got plenty enough to work through. The other games I'm looking for are the original Rockman, Rockman 3, and Rockman 6, all of which I saw, but again I held off. And the other one is Blaster Master, which, you'll forgive me, I've forgotten, the name escapes me now, but those are the 5 games that I want to pick up in physical form still for the Famicom. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it's not gone on too long. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for everybody who's watched this channel. I really enjoyed spending that little bonus that I got from YouTube. And I look forward to playing these games. So yeah, I'm just full of gratitude. Honestly, I really am. I'm going to treasure these games. So thank you very much as always. And I hope you're keeping well. And yeah, until then, I guess all remains for me to say is see you soon. Peace.